Welcome to Asylum Atelier, welcome to our stream, welcome to Creative Discourse. I'm happy to be here again in the studio. Quick disclaimer right there, it's a little bit of a sun, so I want to get to painting as soon as possible because there's a really shortage of sunlight here in my studio these days. But I would like to welcome you again. We're going to continue working on my larger project, or continue working rather on my larger project, which is Cyril and Methodius, two very famous figures from history. They brought language, they brought alphabet to my country, and then they established a grammar rules and so on and so forth. They were changing, adjusted as the times go, so we don't use that original language, but we still have some traces of it. But it was very important for people in my region, because this brought a ideas of education and being able to read and study in your own language, which was very, very important. People inclined more to study when they understand what they're reading, rather than just thinking about oh, I have to learn Latin first in order for me to understand what I'm reading about in these books. So it was very, very important, and this is a project that should, in theory, in my head at least, it should bring that a moment of them coming to a region where my country is right now, and delivering this important tool. And then, later on, actually, I think that they were sanctified. They became saints, I believe, in Christian religion. So that's just a quick history. I just needed to get a little bit of that warm tea, because it's, even though I have my sleeves up, it's really, really cold in my studio. So I want to continue working on the left side, which is this particular guy right here. It's still tacky, because you have to understand that I have a different conditions here in my studio, which is not ideal for painting when it's this cold, because paint really doesn't want to dry as fast as usual. But it's okay. It's still it's manageable. So we're going to probably paint maybe slightly wet in wet, or direct painting, and then maybe, oh, this looks that it's okay. The red ones looks okay. Parts are still wet. There's going to be a little bit of a technical difficulties, but I can't really wait any longer for the drying process, because I have to figure it out certain things with the composition. So I want to see how it is going to look when he will be looking this direction, slightly up, and then I want to key it with this other side right here, because I need to continue on this, because this is just a preliminary underpainting, more like a sketch than anything else, or abstract painting rather, or a painting in the stage of abstraction, or abstract stage. I don't know, however you want to call it. Since this is our stream, and I consider this as our stream, and this small community kind of help each other with ideas, with some insights, with some constructive criticism, and we discuss a lot of things. I talk about the painters and history of painting a little bit, but strictly, I have to point this out, strictly from the point of view of a painter. So I'm pretty sure that, you know, art historians, they have a specific way how to describe certain events. You know, after all, it's their job. For me, I'm more focusing on the part where what actually relates to what I'm trying to do, and I use them as a guide through through this painting, and you know, for any other painting for that matter. So when we talk about edges or compositions, or you know, some wild ideas, I prefer to always refer back to a old masters, just see whether or not some of them went through this problem and maybe solved it for me. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but rather I'd like to use that wheel and maybe, you know, make a car out of it, as we did in the history, right? So first was the wheel, but people that invent the wheel, I don't think that they were necessarily immediately thinking about machines that they drive itself. I also want to point out that in order for you to really enjoy these creative discourses or these streams, is to join me with your own projects, because most of the things that we talk about here, these are theories, ideas, thoughts. Not sometimes, most of the time it gets really philosophical and deep into maybe philosophy behind what you're trying to paint. And the problem with this is that all the answers for these philosophies or for these ideas, they are in practice. So unless you actually take this into consideration, that in order for you to really fully understand, or to be prepared, or actually, let me rephrase that, in order for you to prove it or disprove it, or make it work, or cancels it out, that like it's not really working for me, these ideas, you have to actually place them on the canvas first. And I'm saying canvas because canvas is the medium that, and oil paints is the medium that I use. These ideas are applicable. Actually, most of these ideas comes from a different branches of fine art, right? It could be sculpting, it could be architecture, it could be even music or writing for that matter. So it doesn't need to be fine art necessarily. It's that creative process that we're talking about. I have multiple ideas what I would like to do with my painting. You have your ideas what you want to do with your paintings, and creating this kind of artificial, I have to use that word because I don't have any other, but creating this artificial kind of combined atelier with me on this side and you on the other side. We can really move and push the creativity forward, not only for us, but for other people as well. So I'd like to share my knowledge and my investigation and my ideas, and you know, my experience with painting, and so should you. I'm welcoming, like I said, all these ideas, all these thoughts, including constructive criticism, because that's very important, and it has been working incredibly well so far. So I'm very excited to continue with this, and being part of this environment. It's incredibly uplifting. So and that goes for all of you that, you know, contribute. So please continue doing so. I really appreciate it. And remember, you are not doing this to avoid. I really try to apply these things and test them as accurately and as accurately and as truthfully as I can. And that goes the other way. Whenever you're asking me any questions, these are mostly my ideas. I don't want to disprove anybody else, so I would highly recommend you to not use this as a something that is set in stone, and more like a guidance, or maybe one of the ideas that will then shape either it would be your opinion or your own experience, or your painting, or sculpture, or whatever you have. So please join me prepare your pencils, or charcoal sticks, or compressed charcoal, or a clay, or a notepad and a pen, and start. And if you want, you can start creating writing as well. Like I said, so that would be probably the coolest thing that you can do while enjoying this stream, because it has no entertainment value whatsoever. And I repeat this over and over again because I want to remind you that the entertainment is with you at your place and with your own creativity. It's awesome to feel that empowerment of being creative, and instead of destroying something, perhaps creating something new and unseen, which is way more difficult, trust me, than than destroying. So I don't want to really, like I said, waste my time, because the sun is really, and it's not even about the sun. Sun is here, but we have this kind of a, like the kind of a milky weather, or milky sky. When everything is white on the sky, it almost feels like the coldness and the snow is about to start falling. And the moment when the snow starts falling, there's going to be a total darkness here. So let's get into painting. Speaking of the painting, last even worse bad painting Friday than usual. I worked on a digital painting, which was a lot of fun. My keyboard failed. My setup was really kind of difficult too. And it's happening today again. My camera is not working. Is this for real? Let me just fix it. So, like I was saying, my setup, it's fairly ghetto. I don't know if I can say it any other way. So you have to be patient with me when it comes to these things. But I'll promise you, I'll try to do my best, and I'll get. Is it working? Let's see if it's going to work. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what happened, but after recent updates, something is with my tablet, something is with my phone, something is with my computer. I have no idea what's happening, but I don't want to waste your time with this. This is not really important. Important is what's in your own little studios that you have, or larger ateliers, or even if you are behind your kitchen table. It's awesome. It's already more than you can ask for, because creativity is here, and it doesn't really need to have a large studio that maybe something like I have. I wouldn't call it large, but it's bigger than my kitchen table used to be, where I started first with trying to make a sphere out of a circle. Well, that's how my painting interest started. But I was talking about that even worse bad painting Friday than usual, where we did like that digital painting, and it was really a lot of fun. It got, again, very philosophical, but what I would like to do right now is first to use that a sketch that we did. And I know that I made a female because somehow I felt that a female is like the shape and the things that I did there were slightly female-ish. So then I just move with a kind of a spirit of, oh, this is where the creativity, this is the happy accident. So I've been painting so many lately male portraits because, it's 863, and these are monks, so they were all male. So historically, I'm trying to keep it accurate. You might remember that I moved these beautiful sunflowers that I really wanted to put there, and I switched them for these different flowers. They are actually local and native to my region, rather than just something that came as you pointed out, something that came in 1500s. So I'm trying to keep it historically as accurate as possible, at least with the place and the way that. So I can. How would I put this? So you associating these things with the region where these things. You associated these ideas with the region where they happened. We don't know how they look. We don't know what they were wearing on this kind of journey. There is no surviving evidence about anything. We have some kind of a partial ideas. We don't even know with 100% certainty where actually which part of the region they were. I don't want to say occupying, but they were present at. So it's really hard to say. So I'm trying to generalize the region at least, and I'm trying to make sure that they have the artifacts that we associating with them these days, which would be a double cross, and I'm bringing also the idea of a book, actually a Bible, which they translated first into that old language, which was called Staroslovenčina, or you might hear Hlaholika or Glagolika, depends on which region are you in, or because these historical evidence and names varies. It's hard to say. There's scientists, some claim this, some claim that. So I'm trying to stay somewhere in the middle, so no one gets necessarily offended about whether I call it this way or that way. The only thing that I know is that they were in this area, which used to be Great Moravia before, and in Great Moravia we had this kind of a terrain, we had this kind of a plants, and so on and so forth. The little clues that I'm leaving there. So I had to change that, and right now I decided to move with that portrait. I want to do a slightly different position. I want to do a different tilt. So we had a lot of fun creating that little digital painting, and in the spirit of this creative discourse that we have, and in the spirit of our streams, I want to use everything that I learned from that little sketch into my painting, because I don't see that much of a difference between these things. I still can apply the same tilt and I can still apply the same tilt and the rotation and the position for head in general for my painting. The only thing that is going to change their facial features, which means I'm going to make them a little bit more masculine, right? So the nose is going to be slightly angular, I would say. Excuse me. I can put, maybe beard, facial hair there, and so on and so forth. I have plenty ideas how to continue. You can see I still have my skull right here, because I use it specifically as an anatomical reference, because I work from imagination. So I like to have a certain objects that guide me with that imagination, or through that imagination, or just something that I can refer to if I really don't know what to do. So I'm looking at the planes, I'm looking at the light and the direction, and maybe some protrusions with the bone. There's so much that you can study from the skull, and that will be something that I would recommend you to do over and over again, just to draw skulls, and that will greatly improve your understanding of a portrait. So I have my skull right here with me. I'm just going to move it to a slightly another position on my table, right here, closer to to this side, only because I want to open a couple of my books here, which would be, of course, Rembrandt, Caravaggio, Velázquez, just to mention few. And I want to do like a mash of, or combination of something that I have on my digital files when it comes to anatomy and expressions and facial features. I want to use something or part of the things that let's say Rembrandt did when it comes to not necessarily anatomy, but more about that solving the problems with values, temperature shifts. Perhaps another idea that comes into mind immediately are edges and the kind of overall feeling, because I consider Rembrandt one of the best portraitists out there, and not necessarily portraitists, but painters, and especially late Rembrandt, when he was really into just being bold and he focused on important things in his painting rather than just embellishments and these beautiful details that he was known and celebrated for while he was alive. And as we know, his end, or the later in his later in his career, he was kind of a poor and I don't want to say broken, because he was still painting, but I think that looking at his paintings, it took toll on him, that kind of a difficult life, a lot of suffering that he went through. His kids died, his wife died, he lost all his money. He was, in a big financial problems later on, only because he decided to paint the way that he wants to, not the way that they're asking him to, which I found extremely important in developing your own ideas. Especially when it comes to painting. So I have that, and I also have that sketch that I was talking about that we did on Friday. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, you should definitely check that out. It's on YouTube. I'm pretty sure that you can find it there in the live streaming section, because that's the library. And actually, if you're interested in any other things that I did when it comes to this painting, because I believe that I started to stream because of this painting, and to kind of like, I did it mostly for myself. I wanted to record the process, and I wanted to see how the painting is going to evolve and how far I can push it. And then I realized, well, since I'm doing it and recording it anyway, I might actually share it with all of you. So and now we're here. So yeah. And again, I'm talking too much. Too much explaining. I'm pretty sure that you can infer or understand or watch previous videos if you want to, without me explaining everything over and over again. So I'm just going to step back for a second, because I need to see this from a distance, and I'm just going all the way back into my studio, and see what's up. Yeah, you might remember I changed that sky a little bit, and I was talking about, and the sky, it seems it's touch dry. It's in some places it's still a little sticky, but that's perfect, because these layers are going to bond nicely. It's just going to stick to each other. So that's kind of like one of the best ways to paint. It's definitely not sanding ready, or anything like that. I can't really iron this anymore, but it has that kind of a nice. This is still wet, almost. Yeah. So I'm going to look at the portrait right now, because I need to place the head there, and then when I place the head, I want to continue. Then maybe tomorrow working on these figures, because these figures need a lot of treatment. And yeah, I'm referring to them as figures, but that's just shapes on the canvas. But since I already burned that image of where they're going to be and how they're moving and what are they doing, I kind of referring to them as figures. So, yeah. Let me see if this. This is just strange. Why is this not? I don't get it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe if I just find a. I have no idea what's happening here right now. Let me just do this. Just little technical things, as always. Because why should everything be all right? Okay. Okay, let me take a moment with this, and it should be working again, I believe. I believe it should. So let's try this one more time. Yeah, it's working. Let's see for how long this is going to work. Hopefully till the end of today. And my palette is dirty, so I have to do something in it. And it's not dirty. It's just I was working with oil, so I was preoccupied with another project, and not that I forgot to clean it. It's just oil, so it's okay. So let me just clean it real quick. I want to get rid of that little bit of oil residue right there. So we can get right into it. And I forgot to put my gloves on. Can you believe it's Monday? I am just completely disorganized. And the reason is because during the weekend I'm working on a large sculpture that is going to be on a display. Not on a display. It's not a sculpture. It's a part of that Christmas celebration. So I've been sanding it down and then painting, and that's what was happening during the weekend. So it's a cool project, but it took a lot of my time, and actually it took a lot of time out of my preparation time. So I'm kind of all over the place. But I guess you understand that this is what it's all about. You just I like to work with pigments and painting and so on and so forth. So every possible chance that I have, I'll go for it. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to, maybe I should do this. I should probably send that file from Photoshop that we did. To myself, so I can, you know, I can use it as a reference. Since, like I said, I really I find this very important when it comes to working everything that I work on, and I had a lot of arguments about this with my colleagues, and I'm so stubborn sometimes that it's difficult to even talk to me when it comes to certain ideas, and I truly believe, and you should not, you know, you shouldn't, not that you shouldn't, you should be careful with these things because it might hunt you down. I am a strong believer of everything that I do. I'm working on it the way that it would be my own project, and that's also with this. I know that we did just a sketch with the Photoshop, but I think it was helpful not only for you to see the process and how I think about portraits and creating portraits out of the imagination. It was just, maybe, you know, I spent actual hour maybe by painting and 3 hours of just talking about stuff. But still, I was thinking about throughout the whole process, even though it was necessary, I was thinking throughout the whole process about what is going to be on my portrait or on my final painting. So I want to use a couple of these ideas because some of them are actually working, some of them aren't. And they're not that they're not working, some of them might not be applicable for what I'm trying to do here, right? So I'm going to put him into a little bit more of a shadow, and we're going to play with that shadow. I promised you to, you know, work on that shadow a little bit. So it's going to be fun. And I'm thinking about the portrait that I did. I'm thinking about the Rembrandt a little bit. And I also mentioned Zurbaran, which is one of my favorite painters. He's one of the best when it comes to that kind of a religious, I don't want to say religious paintings, but paintings that they are. Why can't, this is another thing. Why this Google art project does not have a, or art and culture, as we're supposed to call it these days, because that's the official name. It doesn't have a landscape mode, only a portrait mode. I don't get it. Did I just did something with the settings? I have no idea. Probably, most likely. It's going to be, most likely it's me. So, yeah, Zurbaran. And the idea behind Zurbaran's paintings is that he painted monks, and not necessarily monks, but or some of them were monks, And I'm specifically looking for his St. Francis or San Francisco, if you wish. Because he has a lot of disposition that I'm kind of liking when it comes to my painting as well. So I'm kind of using him as a reference in terms of, when I say reference, I'm not saying that I'm just going to copy exactly what he has there. More I'm looking at that kind of expression and the way how he dealt with the certain problems. The same way that I have to deal with with the problems when it comes to my painting. So. All right, I think I'm finally ready to start painting. It took me only an hour, and my goal was to just start painting immediately. Okay, I think I'm going to change that angle a little bit here as well. So let me just maybe start with a little bit of good old trusty charcoal there. And it's wine, it's the softest one. So because I kind of like that position. So I'm giving myself these directional lines that helps me to work with symmetry. And that's something that I do specifically when it comes to, like, not unusual tilts, but the tilts that you don't see that often when it comes to painting. Maybe I should push this a little higher even. That might be cool to have it a little higher, so I can show a little bit more of the under chin. So what I'm doing right now, I'm thinking and I'm trying to position my my head into a certain. I'm so afraid that I'm going to drop it one day on the stream, and it might be even today. So this would be just a regular normal position that we know from be or not to be, the famous Shakespeare quote. But the problem is that, if it's just this way, and I talked about this when it comes to comparison between Frans Hals and Rembrandt, that you can turn these heads, with expression. It's gonna get repetitive very quickly if you have a lot of portraits. So you have to get creative. So I'm trying to find slightly different positions, and one of them would be, instead of being just regularly looking this way, I'm just going to lift it up. So I'm going to show that bottom part of the chin, right? As I was explaining in that video in our bed painting Friday, I need to show that under chin. I need to show that bottom plane, because that will help with the orientation or overall feeling of the orientation of a head. So, yeah. I draw myself a guidelines there, and I'm just gonna go into that. I need to work with the pigment immediately, because there is already pigment there, and I need to go lighter, because I feel that, like I mentioned, since I put that background and I changed the background slightly, I gave myself a little bit more space to work with shadows and values in shadows. So this all can be even lighter, these shadows, and then I'm going to push some of the shadows that I want to be a little bit more not a little bit more, the shadows that are in the focal point, they're just going to have a, I'm going to work with the full the value scale, and here I'm trying to push it into a background. So I can move it this way. So I'm going to warm up my dark a little bit, because my black, it's just really, really dark blue, and that's how I think about it. But I'm going to warm it up and saturate it with a little bit of that yellow. So I'm not thinking about it turning it to a green, I'm thinking about that being it. I'm adding a saturation, so it's a transparent yellow. So maybe I could move the eye a little bit more here. Like I said, to go a little higher. This can perhaps go a little lower. So I need to, and like I said, I'm going immediately with lighter values. Let's put a little bit more warmth into this, a little bit more saturation. And I'm going to correct some of these shadows that I have here right now. So I'm working on that shape design that I was talking about the last time when I was painting, and you can see that immediately with a couple brush strokes, maybe 3 or 4, it changed the orientation of that head. And I'm not going to claim that it's that simple. It's just knowing, what adjustments I want to do, kind of help with it. And then I could push this really, really red, more like a darker, more warmer red for the nose. And again, same thing that I did with my digital painting. I'm just going to start throwing these pigments there, and I might be pushing it a little too much, right? It's just way warmer, way redder than it's necessary. And for those of you who watch this regularly, you guys know me that as soon as I'm getting into details and a little bit more of these adjustments, I'm going to lose a bit of that freshness of the pigment. So I'm overstating it for a reason, which would be just to remind myself that, oh, you have to be careful with these things. Saturation, I mean, and then, cleanness and freshness of color. I really like to to see the pigment being nice and fresh. And then if it's whenever it's too much, you can always adjust that. And it might at the beginning, it might look really funky to you, especially if you are not used to this, right? So some of these really high saturations might look really, really funky, but you can look at this, how really saturated this pigment looks. But then again, if I put really saturated red next to it, I don't know if this is visible, so let's just put it more there. Like this is a full saturation of that redness, right? So it's not really that saturated suddenly, right? So it's all about that contrast, and not necessarily contrast. It's all about that my redness and my high saturation is dependent on everything else that it's around, right? And especially if I have a high saturated red pigments right here, I can push this into a pure redness and you wouldn't even question that. You would be like, oh, okay, maybe the pure redness looks a little too much, but right now, not at all. And that's why I am so, I forgot to bring my special trash can, which is a metal bucket. That's why I'm so, how would I put this? I'm adamant about not necessarily covering, but making sure that I have most of my canvas covered and keyed and color harmonized before I get into these details. Even though I thought that throughout the process you can see that I was really into the painting a portrait, and I was neglecting the background because I thought that, oh, this is just a fragment painting, so I don't need to really key the background. And I found out that it was one of the worst decisions that I made. And the moment I put the background there, I understood how much more work do I need to put into this painting. So if you are into like a really fully finished, not just vignettes, but fully finished paintings, the sooner you just color coordinate your painting, the easier then it's going to be for you to navigate through the process. Because I can tell that from this high saturation here, I go into a lower saturation here all the way to, and no saturation, let me rephrase that. From high contrast, high key pigments that I'm using here, I'm going through this, which is kind of in the middle, all the way here, which I have only a brown and black, a little bit of green, which is not really that much of a color. If I move that, and we can do that later on, if I were to move this right side right next to this, you would immediately see how super saturated this looks compared to that. But since we have that nice neutral transition when I go through different values and different saturations, and this whole thing, it's mostly grayish, bluish, grayish, brownish, if you wish so, all the way here, which is only gray and brown. You don't really see that high saturation, but and this is not happening only on this size. This kind of a gradient happening from here to here, it's also happening in between the values that you have, or in between the pigments that you have next to each other. I talked about the Rembrandt a lot, and I was showing you examples how he slowly goes through different stages of not only a saturation but the treatment of pigments and edges and so on and so forth. Thinking about this in a portrait, it's very natural to me and most of us. But then we do the quick vignette as I did for that digital demonstration. But the moment that I would cover the whole canvas, and I specifically didn't do it because I knew that the moment that I covered the whole canvas, the relationships between pigments are going to change, because your eye is not going to be not your eye. Your eye is starting to understand that, oh, that portrait doesn't fit there very well because it doesn't belong to that environment. And I want to keep that portrait to the environment. And when I'm thinking about the richness of a pigment, I'm painting here, but this is where I'm looking. I mean, this is way too saturated. So I know if I key my face to this, I'm golden, I'm okay, because that needs to go a little bit less. Or maybe it can stay, I don't know yet. But I'm not sure if I can actually translate that throughout the whole painting. And I can or cannot make these decisions depends on, for pigments throughout the painting. I can't just, work from here. Well, I can, but I don't want to. So maybe I can bring right now a little bit of that. That might be a little too much of a pigment on my brush, because I'm probably going to do more and more adjustments here. So this and this. So I'm painting it like a mosaic. I'm just placing the brush strokes and I'm trying to find a proper position for these brush strokes. Because you remember when I was talking about the painting is just the right pigment or right shape of a pigment that has right value, right saturation, and the right hue. And it's on the right it's in the right place. So that's all when it comes to painting. It's not that difficult, right? So here, and then there's a transition here, which I want to soften a little bit. And then remember, I was moving this a little bit more higher up right here. Okay, so let me just adjust that a little bit. Because if I'm pushing this a little bit more this way, this is where the curve it's going to be, and it actually helps that overall feeling of the head, or overall feeling that there is a head underneath. The funny thing is that you were talking about that you had a sore arm or sore shoulder from painting on the larger canvas. Both of my shoulders and whole my body is sore from adjusting and sanding that large sculpture there and preparing the surface for painting whole weekend. So I kind of sore myself, and I can feel it right now. I'm trying to lift my and move with my arm freely, and it's not really working exactly as I would like to. So I'm pushing this a little bit, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to find that nice kind of a shape for. And this is where Zurbaran comes to play for me, because I really think I need him, because I again have a feeling that I'm moving towards the kind of a female portrait, and I need it to be a male. Unfortunately, it has to be male. So I'm searching through my files, because I think that I had that one painting in my mind that could help here. Yeah. So, and because I need that portrait really to be a male, like I said, because history. I don't want to be the one that is going to rewrite history. Unfortunately, in Zurbaran, his head is tilted to a different way, and I don't want it to be that way, so I can't even copy that. And I know, again, I mentioned that I'm working on the portrait, but and you can see me moving around, but the problem, not the problem, the idea behind painting a portrait is also adjusting that area with this, where the ear would be that low. Okay, wow, all right. I have to double check that, because I'm not really comfortable with the ear to being that low. What I'm trying to say is that I need to put a I need to think about the position of a head inside that hoodie, and how that hoodie is going to, what kind of fold is going to create. It's getting dark again. This is getting annoying here. extend this hoodie on this side a little bit more. Yeah. And then do it a little bit more angular as he did. That might actually help. Right, so remember I talked about a Rembrandt. So it's going to be, this is the head, it's going right here. Right, so I'm trying to put the skull there. And you know, this is something that I found the hard way. But yeah, you're right that the measurements are right, that that's where the ear needs to be. That's incredible. Okay. So you might think that, oh, you're putting a hoodie there, that's going to be easier portrait for you because you're covering a lot of face, so you don't need to deal with ears and the hair and volume behind it, so on and so forth. Well, yeah, you might think that. It's not the case though. It's not the case. I think that you can tell when paintings don't have a structure underneath that areas. I need to push this a little lighter. When they don't have a structure underneath the areas where the clothes are. So, well, maybe, you know, maybe just a casual enjoyer of painting cannot, but I certainly can. And I'm pretty sure you as well can see it immediately that, oh, there is a hoodie there, but it's not working exactly as I. Okay, so this is going to be as I pictured. Why am I always doing this to myself, that I'm creating these really weird angles and then I'm trying to push them into a hoodie and I don't have enough space to maneuver around? Could anyone explain to me this? So I'm lightening up that shadow underneath the chin a little bit. And you can tell that that shadow, it's this pigment right here. That's really, really very light. But since I have already pigments there, because I'm painting into a wet, I have to go and punch it higher when it comes to that. And also, I want to get a little bit of that greenness from underneath, reflecting into his plane or underplane, or a plane for his chin. Maybe I can push it a little darker where the nose is and neutralize that greenness because it seemed too green to me. And again, this all looks natural because there is a lot of yellow and greens around here. So, like I said, I'm not using my traditional idea, oh, this is the formula how to paint the shadows. Well, it wouldn't work properly here anyway, so. Okay. I need to go darker right now. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint over this. There's no other way to do it. And then I'm going to put the icon on top of this. Because from one side, I covered my face with the hoodie. And from the other side, I cut it with the icon. And then I also want to put it in the shadow. So there's going to be just a little cheek right there. And that's when you think that you're Rembrandt and you can do all these things and you can't. I'm trying to correct these adjustments, and then I think that I still don't have the tilt right. It's going this way and this way, and it's all in the eyes. Yeah, I knew it, that it's all going to be in the eyes and the position of the eyes. have to go and shape it a little bit more. Perhaps I won't be able to include that shadow there because it's kind of, well, maybe I will. Maybe I'm just going to paint the face right now. Like there's nothing else around because it's a really, really specific tilt. And like I said, I add unnecessary complications to my to this by just cropping it from one side and also from another side, and it kind of also I didn't leave myself a space to show the volume of the face, so it feels like I don't have another option. This is where the nose is going to be, so I need to push it this way. It still looks like a female. I can't help myself. It definitely looks like a female. This is going to be probably one of another those portraits. Well, I will have to use a live model and position it here when it comes to the I guess when it comes to a final adjustment. Okay. A little bit more of that shadow. Or half tone rather. Okay, so this could be all dark, and then I could push this lighter. Try to correct the silhouette a little bit. go even higher. Yeah, we're slowly getting there. It's not really the best portrait. It still looks like a female, but at least I have a better idea of where I want to be. And again, you can see how really high saturated this is compared to this. But there is a lot of layers right here. So the moment that I'll start bringing the pigment a little bit more forward, you know, to do a little adjustments, it's just going to shine forward again. So I could actually do that a little bit, just to bring in to the attention, right? So I'll just bring the little redness into a cheek. Maybe right here. I shouldn't do this. I know that I shouldn't, but I can't help myself. So he's starting to go forward. It's just a soft value right here. I think I can, maybe if I can give him a beard as well. What do you think? Like beard would be, would that be that bad? Probably not. The problem is that there's almost no light here. I don't know if you can see it or if it's as visible on camera than it's here. I don't know. I should maybe switch to a digital painting again, because this seems just maybe if I push it all the way here. I'm just playing a little bit with a shape of that opening. Maybe it should be in the shadow, perhaps, just to put everything into shadow. Let me try that, since I can't really judge the color properly right now because it's really dark. So if I'll get rid of this, let me saturate it a little bit more. let's think about this. This can all go into a shadow. Right? And if this is all in shadow, I can tell that this is a, this doesn't work. This could be in shadow. Mouth is in the shadow. And the bottom part of the nose is going to be in the shadow. And I'm grouping it together. I know that I had painted there, but I need to figure it out how to fix this. And then perhaps I could push this, make this lighter. This area right here. Right here, this. And this is all in shadow. That means that I can actually use the same pigment because I can't see. This could go into light instead, and I'll create a yeah, that might actually work a little better. So this is going to be in the light. Right, this is going to be in the light, but I'm not making it lighter, I'm just making it a little bit more saturated. Because I'm looking for that abstract shape. I was not happy. I was again into that idea of, oh, I need to paint the face and so on and so forth. And I don't want that. I just want to have that. This can go away again. I just want to, because there is no way that I will be able to compose. Maybe I can make it even bigger. Okay, let's ask this question. What if I make this bigger? Maybe it's good that I can't see pigment, because I would go into full on, I'm just going to paint portrait mode. So I'm pushing that icon more towards his face. And that would give us what we talked about before, that, that shadow there as well. See, this is something that I really have to be careful about with my own paintings, that I start that discussion about, you know, creating a shape and composing with shapes. And then I get into these get into these moments when I'm not sure whether or not I like it. I don't know. You like how it looks so far? Okay, I just get rid of it immediately because it just, you're absolutely right that, you know, that, how would I put this? You're right when you, well, I liked it as well. Let me put it that way. I liked it as well. But then again, since I'm stepping back and forth, I was not looking at the portrait necessarily. I was looking at how it's going to play with every other part of the painting that I have, all the way here that you can't, not that you can't see it, but I haven't painted there anything. It's just a smudge with the yellow. And I was thinking about that and I was evaluating it, whether or not it's going to work. And you know, with like that natural progression, I was not happy with that. So I have to make an adjustment, no matter how painful that is. And I was really excited to go into this and start painting immediately, but I can't. I really can't, because it's not going to work. And here's the thing, it's not that it's not going to work. It's probably going to work as a portrait, but it's not going to work as a composition. And like I said, I struggle with this myself, and it's not about struggling. It's what I said. Most of my work, it's these, you know, I'm testing the theory. I put it there, and I saw it, and it started to shape. You get excited. Oh, I have a portrait there. But then, again, I'm only here. This is not the painting. This is only a part of that painting. No matter how much more detail you're going to put there, you're not going to make it better composition. And for me, the important part is better composition. Nothing else really matters to me. Whether this is going to be the best portrait I've ever painted or the worst portrait I ever painted. As long as I don't have a composition that works. And it's really dark here. I mean, it's really dark. So let me soften these, and I think I don't think I can continue here because it's crazy how dark it is, and the problem is that it got dark like out of nowhere. It got dark out of the nowhere. So let's get back to that. Let's get back to another thing is I moved it way too much forward. So let me correct it right away. Bit of this. So here, 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 it should be a shadow. So again, I need to go back to abstract shapes because I went too specific before I was comfortable with overall shape. So I'm giving myself another chance to correct these mistakes. And these are, like I said, these are not mistakes. It would be a mistake to continue and, you know, lie to yourself that you are on the right track. Yeah, you can see me lagging through the camera. Yeah, and you know, I want to go back to your first comment that you or the previous one. I see what you mean, and that's why this stream is inspiring. You just keep on going, and it usually comes out even better every time. It's first of all, I want to say thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I don't even know how to start describing how important for me it is to show you that everything that I do, you can do as well. There is no magic into this. I made these mistakes all the time. All the time. I am not immune to these mistakes, but if you're really going to stay true to what you're trying to do, I mean really true, like I mentioned, it's just that, you know, that brutal honesty, but not for sake that you're going to destroy yourself, that you are like worthless painter and you're never going to be good and this means nothing. I've been on that side of the argument as well, and it's not working either. It's more about you have a vision, you have something that you want to communicate with the viewer, and you have to ask yourself, is this really working or is it not working? And if it's not working, then you shouldn't be afraid to just repaint that. Right? It's going to be difficult. It's going to be yeah, trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm just going to read it out loud again. Yeah, I always felt alone on that and get frustrated rather too quickly. But with your stream, I can stay cool a little longer. It's just, you know, do you know why can you stay painting a little longer? Because you see me struggling as well. It's just the nature that is in us. Oh, he's not making it, and I guess it's okay if I'm not making it, and that's fine. That's totally fine. If there would be if only I knew this sooner, right? So I could just paint with no issues, but unfortunately I didn't. We are in this together. You struggle too. That's I. This is what it comes down to. I think that, and you remember on Friday I was talking about that you have that that you should think about that balance between precision or accuracy and then, you know, your creativity, and that comes right here, right now. So when you think about precision, right, I was starting to be very precise here. But then if I set myself that the composition is a number one and it's supposed to work as a one kind of continuous painting, precision is being built on top of that strong composition. And I felt that, you know, I wanted to experiment with the shadow to try to create something new. So these portraits are not repeating the same way all the way there. And I was so passionate about that, and I was talking, yeah, I was very specific about these things, right? I was being very concrete that the composition is a top, and I'm looking for ideas that you know, perhaps I'm going to have. This is not going to be this not supposed to be you know, like meh painting. I would rather have a really bad painting that no one ever is going to, including me. But I need to see these adjustments. I need to see whether or not these ideas works. And I fell into that trap that, oh, I have a little bit of time. I have to make this happen because sun is going to go away. I have to finish this. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But you know what? No, I don't have to finish this. I don't. Who said that I have to finish it today? No one. I did it. And then I pushed myself into that uncomfortable position where I am just falling back to what is kind of ingrained into my brain, and that's the classical training, that I'm just going to put a more details there, and people are going to accept that that's portrait, and that's fine because that's what we used to see, and I can't do that anymore. I've seen so many of my paintings being that I can't really, and I know that you probably, it's just weird noise that I'm making. I've seen so many of my paintings being stale, and I can't do it anymore. I can't stand looking at them. And you know what? It's also kind of preventing me to come to studio with not necessarily happiness, but with excitement. I want to be excited every day to go to studio and paint. And if I come here and I'll see this painting being like, nah, I can't paint, and I have to be honest to myself. I simply can't paint. So I'll rather go and repaint this again 30th time, as I did with feet, with the hands, with another portrait, with the arm, and I'm just gonna be doing it over and over again. Then just having these okay paintings that I don't really like to look at, and they don't excite me. And I'm sorry to say that there is already plenty of that kind of art out there, unfortunately, especially today. And it's not like I will be complaining or anything like that. No, I mean, it's just I don't want to be part of a problem with art today. So let's get back to it. Let's again push that idea that I created for myself, that I want to do. And there's no reason to be worried, because you know, remember I talked about this so many times. It's oil painting. I can always come again and paint it again and again and again, but not pointlessly, right? Just repeating the same thing over and over again pointlessly. It's also, I'd rather go outside having a cup of tea or coffee or cake or food or whatever, being with my family, friends, perhaps. But since I'm putting so many hours into this, of course you have to put, and you're doing it. and you are doing it, and it's okay. It's okay if it feels. I remember that I think I was talking about this, about that athlete, or now he's an athlete, Goggins, and he's the guy that ran that 24-hour running event, and he said that it was so painful, and when he couldn't walk anymore, because that's how painful was it, they wanted to offer him a help and told him that, oh, here's this, here's that, and he said, no, let me enjoy this pain. I deserve it. It's part of that what I achieved. It's just, this is how it feels when you want to be when you want to better yourself. Like, it's not going to be just like, oh, I'm going to better myself, and it's just all roses and flowers. Or whatever that expression is. So, and I pushed this back right now, and immediately you can see that it's a wrong color. I can tell that it's wrong color because I can't see the proper color on my palette because it's dark here. But it's starting to look like a male, not a female. It's just, instead of trying to convince myself that I'm going to paint it and I'm going to make it male, I knew that it's not male, and there are problems not with the detail, there are problems with shapes and the abstract shapes and so on and so forth. It looks male to you as well? Yeah, perfect. Well, see, and it didn't before. I know it didn't because I was looking at it and it didn't. And it's probably also that kind of a it's awesome. It's really awesome to read what you're writing. It really gives this whole painstaking adjustments of mistakes meaning for all of us, not only for me but for you as well, because trust me, I will, I as a painter and person who enjoys looking at art, I will see in your art that you pushed it, and I will. And here's the thing, there's going to be plenty of people that are not going to like your art, but at least they're going to respect you for doing your best. I think that they will respect you, and I want to think that they will respect you because that kind of that kind of dedication deserves respect. Maybe if I push it, maybe I was again a little too quick with decisions, and maybe this could be okay. So this is going to be dark, and then this area is going to be lighter. So this is where maybe I should put the nose a little bit more here. Right, and then I'll create this kind of a direction right here with the light. Right, yeah, and it's immediately pushing him a little bit more under the angle. So let's move this here. Soften that. And let me try this. What if I push? What if I push this darker? Okay, there's going to be shadow all the way here. Yeah, I can't see anything right now. It's really weird. Okay, right now he looks like a very old person, but it's okay. Let me move the nose a little bit. Maybe push it this direction. What if I, okay. Well, maybe Zurbaran was onto something when he switched that. Okay, maybe this is going to be better. Okay, let's try this. Because I didn't like that. Maybe I'll like more this. I'm gonna push this even more the nose to that direction. And I'm painting right now wet into wet, so direct painting. Plus, I can't really see a color properly, so don't do this at home. I mean, really don't. It's not gonna, you're not gonna be happy. You might not be, you might not be happy with with the result. So it's gonna go right here, and then let me show a little bit of nostril on one side, so we know the orientation of a nose. So we are looking again the bottom plane. So these are the things that you have to take into consideration when you paint, specifically with these type of angles, that you need to have some kind of a visual clue for a viewer about these positions. And then let me put this really high saturated red right here on the top, so I can push the nose out a little bit, and that might maybe connect. That might be connecting. All right, and then a little bit of that redness. Let me shape the nose a little better. And then I can push this eye right here. Yep, which would push his head into the hoodie. The way that I wanted to. And I'm, you know, I remember I'm in my mind right now. I'm thinking about a couple things. One of them being that drawing that we talked about when it comes to Daniel Bilmes and that shadow that he created on that portrait that where he painted me. I think I was showing it last time. So this is what I'm thinking about right now to help me. I'm trying to recall that from memory and combine it with what I did. What I did with the sketch, and also this is where the eye could be. I think that would be a nice position for the eye right here. Yep. So I'm trying to combine multiple of these ideas, and I know it's difficult for you to see because my camera can barely see me right now in this darkness. But I am keeping the same ideas. Same ideas in my head that we started with, and that was that shadow, that it would be cool to see that shadow. So again, I started with adjustments, and I didn't like them. It's not like they were bad, but it's just it wasn't working for me. That's what I'm trying to say. And right now I introduced same value when you really squint, same value, but a different temperature. You can see suddenly there is a change of a plane. So it's going, this is going down, this is the side, and this is up, right? So, and then I can maybe neutralize it here a little bit to introduce that, because it was too warm. So I'm just cooling it down a little bit. I'm just creating that kind of optical illusion, and it wasn't that difficult. And we're back to back to square one. We are exactly where we started today, which is not bad. We tested the theory; it didn't work. Okay, cool. There's no harm done. No harm done. Let me just maybe find some ideas. Well, what if I just again maybe I could push this a little bit since I'm here and I have that lighter value. Okay, and this should go lighter as well. Right? So okay, I think this works way better than it was working. Maybe I have a superpower to seeing in the dark. Yeah. I might turn into a cat and be able to. But the cats they don't see colors, if I'm not mistaken. They they see black and white or some kind of a weird monochromatic. Okay, let me see a mirror reflection because I can't really. Yeah, this is better. This is better. Even compositionally, it's better if it's going to be this way. I'm not sure. I think I was watching some documents or reading some you know like papers that were published on this subject that I think it was something about cats. You know, when people think that cats are watching TV, they aren't, because I think it was something has to do with like electronics and how TVs works or something like that. It doesn't really matter. And I think that they were explaining that cats are not really looking on the TV. They can't really see that the way that we do. And they, you know, showed some examples with that. I might be mistaken. I don't have a cat, so I don't really know. I can't have a cat because I think I'm sensitive to their fur. Is it fur? Not necessarily allergic, but you know, whenever there's a cat in the environment, You don't have any pets? Yeah, it's just that it's not necessarily that I would be allergic to that. That wouldn't be a proper way to describe it. It's more like my eyes get a little swollen. I guess that's allergies. I don't know. And yeah, I guess those are allergies. And then I breathe. And I have even more nasally voice than usually. It's already nasally enough. I think I'm creating and if I were to give him here a little lighter value where the beard is, so it's going towards the pit of the neck, which would be right here. Yeah, okay, that might work. So let's bring the little lighter value, but not as green. Let's neutralize it a little bit. And that would be probably it for today because I can barely see what I'm painting here. Maybe this could go like a softer transition here. Yeah, this is way better. I think this is way better. Yeah, it might be. That's what I thought, that it might be mild reaction, but it's not something that would, you know, I'm, you know, I can be totally okay around the cats. Like my family, they have cats. We have pets, dogs, and that all kind of stuff. It's more about like, I think being in like. First of all, I don't want to have a pet inside an apartment or flat, that kind of a, you know, setup, because I think that they should run around and roam and just having fun, rather than just being confined into these spaces. Another thing is I'm working with chemicals, so I'm afraid that they would just, you know, get in contact with this and I would harm them. Not willingly, but just like an accident. and then, like I said, like it's more like when I sleep in that environment. It's more like that. It's just I feel that I'm waking up morning, and during the night I can't sleep properly because I feel that I cannot breathe. But then when I'm like around them, it's okay. I don't know. It might be some kind of a combination of maybe like a dust or something. I don't know. I don't really know. But then I have dusty environment here and it's okay. I don't know. My family would say that, oh, you're just finding an excuses to not being responsible and having a pet around because you are too selfish. It might be that as well. So some of these things might be just a placebo, right? So I'm just being happy to travel wherever I want, whenever I want, not thinking about, oh, what am I going to do with my cat? Who's going to feed it? Yeah, I guess that might be as well. But then I can't really fake my eyes being swollen after a exposure. So it's a bit of both, probably. They all say that. And you're in the way art is our pet. Yes, you're absolutely right. I'm dedicating all my work time and the free time to painting. So, but then I really like animals, except spiders. I'm afraid. I love them, but I'm afraid of spiders. But and I know that in really difficult moments, like even emotionally, it's kind of helpful to have a pet, to not get crazy, and it helped me because even though I don't own any pets right now. My parents, they do, and sometimes I take care of them with a lot of comments that I don't want to do it, and so probably that's why they have that idea that I just don't want to be responsible because I'm always commenting on that. And why do you have a pet if you can't? If I have to take care about it. Okay, I think I'm just. I could push this even more right here, and then show this plane globula right here with a light touch right there. So it's just slowly coming out of that shadow, and it seems like the part of the hoodie it's covering in, and part of the icon right there. Softer shadow right here. This is too dark, unnecessary too dark. So I'm softening it. It's not exactly where it's supposed to be, but I just want to keep it soft. So tomorrow when I get into it, it's just going to be easier for me to create a proper adjustment. So I think this is as much as I can do today. Unfortunately, it's really, really dark. and I have to figure something out about this. But I'm definitely not going to. I can't really put right now the lamps on it. I'm not a super cat yet. No, I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm just looking at it right now through the camera, and it's really, camera is just pushing these colors so much. It's way duller in real life than it's on the computer. Those reds are just those reds on the screen. They look like you know, like when you paint in I don't know if when you paint in digital software, like in Photoshop, for example, you have next to your colors, next to your pigments, you have that kind of a little triangle with exclamation mark, and I didn't know what that is for the longest time, and then it just bothered me. And for those of you who don't know, the little triangle next to your pigments in Photoshop means that these colors wouldn't be reproducible through the printer. So that's how I feel right now. So the colors that you see on the screen right now, the high saturated reds, they are so saturated. And the reason why they're so saturated is also because of the nature of a screen. When I'm looking at my painting, the light travels through that canvas, through that pigment into a canvas, and then bouncing back to my eyes, and that's what's creating me to seeing it. When you're looking at your screen, you see actual light coming or reflecting, not reflecting. It's the origin of the light. It's from underneath the pigments, or the under. How would I put this? Instead of when you compare it with canvas, it's a reflection back to you. Whereas with screens, they're emanating. It's the word, the light towards your eye, or actually creating the light that goes towards your eye. So that's a big difference, and it's very important to understand even these things when you're trying to key what you're doing on your screen, whereas what you're doing on your canvas. This might be like, I don't want to say that you don't think about these things, but this sometimes when I'm trying to do or paint something with digital software, I'm forgetting that, oh, I would never be able to get this saturated with my pigments. That's what I'm trying to say. the longest possible way of saying it. So yeah, I have to stop right here right now because I can barely see the colors. And also, there is some kind of a weird effect is happening right now as well, when it's like the light, it's so orange in my studio for some reason. I don't know why. It's probably because of the reflections from the buildings across. It's like a weird kind of a thing. So, but I moved that face, I moved that portrait, I pushed it, and I think that if anything, watching this stream today was incredibly important for all of you who struggles with the pushing it or repainting it, or not necessarily even repainting it, feeling that it's not exactly as you want it to be, and being afraid to do that. I'm not even afraid, being unsure about doing that step into that, frontier of unknown. So I made a mistake. I started to paint and I didn't like it. And then I immediately went, oh, I'm just going to add a little bit more detail. And then, I forgot that, oh, this is a whole painting. This is not just this portrait. And the reason is because I was thinking about the portrait. I was preparing how to paint it. I was preparing in my head how I wanted to see it. But unfortunately, my brain didn't take into consideration, oh, but that's not one portrait. These are all the portraits. Plus, this is the whole painting, whole canvas. You can't just, and when I say you, I'm thinking about myself. I can't simply start painting here and do this, and then step back and thinking, oh, it's not working, perhaps more detail is going to solve the problem. It won't, unfortunately. I wish that's the true. And if that would solve the problems, then, you know, everybody can. I strongly believe in the fact that everybody can learn how to paint the portrait. I strongly believe that everybody can learn how to paint. Then there is another step that I repeat over and over again. What are you planning on doing with this incredible knowledge, which is also when it comes to writing, or if you're a musician and you play piano or guitar. It's just this is something that I want to do myself. I want to be really good playing on the piano, because I just want to experience the music the way, not only just on the receiving end, but also being a part of that creation of music. And same goes for another ways, like writing. I really want to be part of. I really want to have that experience as well, not only reading the cool books, whether it's, you know, Lord of the Rings that I talk about a lot, but also Dostoevsky, or I talk about Shakespeare today, or Edgar Allan Poe. It doesn't really matter which one you choose or which one is your favorite. It's completely different when you're reading it, and then when you think, oh, I'm just going to write something myself. Suddenly you find yourself that, oh, I guess I was I was not thinking right when I thought that it's going to be easy to just sit down and start writing. So it doesn't work that way. Same goes for painting and any other creative medium that you want to use. So make sure that you look at your paintings, that you look at your art in that critical way, but more like a constructive criticism than just being critical for no apparent reason, only because you just feel bad today and you think that you're never going to achieve anything. That's not what I'm saying. And I never even, not even for a second, I thought that that's the case, only because I've been there myself, and it held me back. I think I lost a couple of years by just being in that mindset. And the funny thing is, I talked about Daniel Bilmes. He was telling me this every day, dude, you just let go. It's okay. It's fine. You don't need to. Why do you think? And then I understood that you know, it was insulting for every other artist there, that they just, you know, spent hours and years. Hours every day, and you know, 7 days a week, and you know, 52 or 54, 52 weeks a year, or 4 weeks a month, 12 months and years to practice this. How insulting it is to think that I can come the first day or second day of painting class and being a Rembrandt, right? So it's just, it somehow clicked very, very late, and I don't want you to repeat the same mistakes that I did. Well, probably you're going to, but at least now you know that you have an option to just let go, be cool with it. It's okay. It's just with the practice of materials, and then practicing also your creative ideas, it's just going to happen slowly. It's not, you might have that, you know, like, I don't want to say beginner's luck, but, you know, it's just, the beginner's luck should actually motivate you to try harder and harder with getting even better. So I leave you with this. Think about your work and where that improvement can happen, when, not only on timeline, but when during the process of painting. For me, I know that the moment that I started to get into details way too soon, I know that I'm trying to cover for something that I did not figure it out compositionally, right? Because I don't have a reason to go into details immediately unless I'm not happy with overall composition. And I made that mistake today. And I lost the whole day by just moving from where I was at the beginning to the point where I'm here. But I needed to do that. I needed to see that, oh wait, you just running, or you just made a first step towards the wrong direction, right? And unless I tested it, you know, oh, here I am. That's okay. I'm fine. I can always get back or repaint it. So I don't want to repeat myself again over and over. So yeah, I have to stop right now because I can't see anything, unfortunately. Maybe I should think about some, you know, afternoon or, you know, evening digital painting. Maybe that might be cool as a addition to this, because I'm missing painting. So I don't know what I'm going to do about this. Or maybe I will start another painting under the artificial light and just work with artificial light. That's another option. I'll think about it, and I'll definitely let you know. Tomorrow, so I don't forget, tomorrow tomorrow there is not going to be a stream because I'm going to continue working on the painting that sculpture that I'm working on. So I'm going to be outside, out of the city, and I don't think that I will be able to make it back on time. So I'm sorry for that, but the light is pretty bad anyway. So hopefully tomorrow is not going to be perfect blue sky, because that would really get me angry. Not because, you know, well, actually I have a nice blue skies when I'm going to be painting that sculpture as well. So because it's in the huge kind of like a, what would you call it? It's in the storage space, like a huge garage, but for trucks. And it's like more like an old factory, and there is no light fixtures proper up on the ceiling. So, but it has a large windows, so hopefully we'll be able to see what we do. So, because it's not my project, I'm helping with that project to my friend. So let's see. And again, I can't really talk about it more because it's again NDA, and unless it just gets out, it's more like a, you know, under the veil of what I can't talk about and disclose more, because, you know, that's what it is. Okay, so no class tomorrow. Maybe I can do some painting when I get home and I'm not going to be extremely tired, like a digital painting, but I can't promise anything. Perhaps I can do some, you know, I can post some pictures from what I'm doing if they allow me. We'll see. Thank you for being part of this. I really have to, you know, stop, but you should continue with your work. You should take advantage of what you just saw, how not to approach, and continue working. Hopefully I'll see you day after tomorrow. So stay cool, be safe, and creative. I'll see you later. Take care. Bye.